What's up YouTube? Carlos CS5 here. I wanted to post a video discussing how to set up your MarkBass amp so that it doesn't clip. Okay, so well, the first thing you want to do is on your bass itself, you want to crank up all the volume, all the bass, all the treble. If you have a tone knob, bring that all the way up. Then on the actual amp itself, the master volume, you want to turn that all the way down, because the master volume is not important when you're doing a clip test. And also, it's pretty late here in my house and I don't want to make noise. The kids are sleeping. Alright, so what you want to focus on when you're doing a clip test is the actual gain. Alright, this is going to be a little tricky because I got to put the camera down in a second. Okay, but basically, depending on what kind of preamp your bass has, the output, some amps will clip at lower levels, others at higher levels. So in other words, if your preamp isn't that powerful, you might have your gain higher than someone who has a more powerful preamp, and the amp would clip at a lower level. Alright, I play a Carbon SB 5000, and it's a pretty nice, it's a pretty beefy preamp, but I did lower the internal pot just a little bit. Alright, so anyway, so this is what we do here. I'm gonna put the camera down. Alright, so what we do is we bring up the levels up on the bass, and then we just bring the gain all the way down, and you start to play the bass or start to play the strings. Like if you're playing at a show, you're slapping, you're pounding on the strings, obviously without breaking your bass. Alright, so you just start hitting the strings and bringing up the gain until that clip light starts to go on. See right there? I'm hitting the low B, which is the most powerful, the lowest, deepest, fattest note. Alright? So when you see that it starts clipping, then you want to roll back a little bit so that when you do play hard, it doesn't clip. Alright? So that's what I'm doing now. See, I'm not clipping. Now, again, I'm not doing an audio test because it's pretty late here, but now, once you've done that, you can set up your EQ basically in any way that you want. Any style of music that you want to set it up for, or whatever your taste is. And then the master volume, you can bring it up as loud as you want or as loud as your speakers can hold, and your amp will not clip. Your speakers will bust before your amp clips once you have that set up the right way. Now on the little Mark line of bass amps, I have the little Mark 800, and this is the low. Camera's not focusing too good here, but this is the low, mid lows, mid highs, the highs, the VLE, which is the vintage loudspeaker emulator. And what that does is, I usually don't use this because it makes your amp or your speaker sound like a vintage amp. So it doesn't have, it basically sounds like one of those old speakers that don't have tweeters on them, and I like the tweeter sound for the nice crisp slap tones. So usually I have that all the way down, but that's what that does. It makes your speaker or your amp sound like a vintage amp. Alright, then next to that one you have the VPF. I don't know exactly what the VPF stands for, but I know that it gives you a nice slap tone. And usually when you turn that all the way down, it brings out the mids more. So usually when you bring it up, it kind of sucks out the mids and you get a nicer slap tone. Obviously the highs is what gives you the nice crisp sizzly highs for when you're slapping, or if you're taking a nice melodic solo and you want it to sound nice and clean and bright, you can bring up the highs. The high mids to articulate the voice a little more, and then the mid low and the lows to give you the nice low growls. Alright, so that's the basic EQ on the little Mark line of bass amps by MarkBass. Alright, and that is how you set up your amp so that it doesn't clip. That's the basic rule of thumb for any bass amp, actually. But hopefully this video was informative, and God bless. Peace out.